Hello folks, I'm here this morning in the New Forest with this wonderful Tesla Model 3 Long Range. This is of course the revised version of the Model 3 after its recent facelift. This one has all-wheel drive. It's available for a shade under £50,000, over 380 miles of range, and really this looks on paper at least to possibly be the complete package when it comes to an electric car in early 2024. Let's find out if it lives up to those expectations. Now, despite that facelift only being a very mild one, it's made a huge improvement to the looks of the car, in my personal opinion. I really didn't like the look of the previous Model 3, and I think it looks so much nicer with its new face. It's got basically slimmer headlines, and it's got those big froggy eyes that the previous one had. And then the other major change is around the back here, where once again you can see we've got a slimmer, sleeker affair altogether. The boot's very generous in this car. We've got getting on for 600 litres of boot space if you look at the main compartment and the huge cavernous underfloor space. Although you don't have that hatchback boot, this is a saloon type boot. Goes back a long way, but obviously if you want to put really tall items in here, you're not going to be able to like you could in something like the Tesla Model Y. Now, unfortunately, I've given my normal lighting and camera crew the day off today, but what I'm struggling to get across in here is just how bright and airy this rear cabin is, simply because of the lighting that I've got available to me today. It's really bright. This white interior really lifts things. There's a marked difference between this and the cars with a black interior. Obviously, you've got this huge expanse of glass, nice big windows, so there's plenty of opportunity to light to get in. But just the white interior really lifts things up. And really the only question about going for this white leather interior, vegan leather by the way, is if it can cope with your lifestyle. How it would last after years of use with children and muddy dogs and things like that, you'd have to wait and see. But the real start in the back here is this completely standard fit, like every car gets this, even the rear wheel drive one, colour high def screen. It means the kids can stick their earphones in, Bluetooth connect to this, watch YouTube, watch Netflix, listen to Spotify, whatever they want to do. But just think of the premium competitors. We have to pay a hell of a lot of money to have a screen in the back, and one that's often not as good as this, it has to be said. The standard level of fit in this car is really exceptional. Let's look at the front cabin. This is the most controversial part of Tesla for many a person, and for a lot of people that take great joy in sort of slating the brand. It's very different, it's very minimalist. The quality of it is superb. Any sort of noises you've heard about build quality in Tesla in the past, you can forget about it. They've used very nice materials throughout. It's extremely well screwed together, and it certainly feels quite plush and premium in here. Now, the facelift has made this even more controversial because they've taken away the two stalks that were here. That means that a lot of controls are now on the steering wheel, including the indicators, more on that in a sec. And to select drive, park, neutral, reverse, whatever, you do it on the screen by swiping up, or you've got some little touch controls up here. The car does also have an automatic mode for all that. So for example, if I reverse onto my drive when I get home, I get in the car in the morning and just press the accelerator. It knows I need to go forward. And that actually works really well. And I don't find the slidey thing particularly inconvenient. It's just a bit of a faff when you're trying to do a quick maneuver in a car park or something. And I don't know why they took it away. It feels like progress for progress sake. It's solving a problem that didn't exist, I think. As for the indicators, this is far more controversial. It takes you all of about 10 minutes to get used to it. So you press that one to go left, that one to go right. They cancel themselves, so there's none of this like 3 flashes and off it goes. Basically, the car knows when you've changed lane or you've turned a corner, and it will just cancel the indicator for you. And that works flawlessly in my experience with the car. What's less great is when you're going around a roundabout. Here in the UK, we drive on the correct side of the road, and we've got lots of roundabouts. So you come up to a roundabout, say you want to take the 3rd exit, you indicate right, you get past the 2nd exit, you've got a decent lock on, you get past the 2nd exit, you want to then indicate left, and your indicator's now over here somewhere, and actually that one's left and that one's right, and It's just too complex. They should have just kept the indicator stalk. Really? Why? Now, a lot of people get very excited about the fact that the speedometer is up here and it's not there. Again, that's something that you get used to in about 0.4 of a second, and I don't think it's problematic at all. Literally, instead of your eyes going there, they go in there. It would be nice to have a head-up display as an option for those people that want one. I personally wouldn't tick that box, but many would. Honestly, looking over there for the speed just feels completely natural. It doesn't feel strange to me. The infotainment system is brilliant. The sat-nav's fantastic. It's based on Google Maps. And the best thing about that sat-nav is the way it works with the Tesla supercharger network. So if I say navigate to Manchester right now, it will not only take me to Manchester using the quickest route, but it will also tell me if I need to stop and supercharge and for how long, and the rate that I'm going to have there and the price. If I get a bit closer to that supercharger, it will start to precondition the battery so it can charge at the optimum level. And if the superchargers are full, it will tell me, so I can have the option of diverting to a different one. The software side of things is where Tesla are leaps and bounds above everyone else. You've also famously got all the nonsense on here to keep yourself and the kids amused while you're charging. So you've got the arcade, which gives you a load of different games, including Beach Buggy Racing 2, which you can control the car with the steering wheel. You've got the toy box, which gives you things like a whoopee cushion, a light show. You can have a fire coming up on here. You can make some beats and tracks on Tracks app. You've got Netflix, YouTube, Twitch. You can have Spotify. You can have Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, you name it. And this has got you sorted for infotainment options. And the speaker system in here is superb. The sound quality, in my opinion, is some of the best sound I've heard from a standard in-car head unit. It's brilliant. It really is fantastically good. And whether you get this or the standard range car, they all come loaded with kit. Bluetooth, climate control, heated seats, heated steering wheel. You've got blind spot cameras, you've got reversing cameras, you've got Sentry mode. You can basically use that as your eyes and ears when you're not around the car. It will record every time someone comes close to the car. You can use the car's inbuilt dash cam if that's your kind of thing. It really is completely loaded, and again sits well above the rest of the competition. There's only one way that it sort of falls short of some of the competitors, and that's that you don't have any kind of phone mirroring. So you don't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Having said that, when you've got Google Maps, when you've got Spotify and Apple Music, when you've got Apple Podcasts, when you've got Netflix, when you've got YouTube and all these other apps built into the car, you don't really miss it. The seats are really comfortable as well, and if you can't get comfortable with your seat adjustment or steering wheel adjustment, I'd have to say you're a bit picky, because you can get every facet of this car exactly where you want it. And my message really to all the people that say, well, I couldn't live with that interior, or oh, everything's there. And don't get me wrong, you know, I slag off many a car for having too few buttons and too many slidey haptics and touchscreen controls. Tesla's the only one that's done it properly. Seriously, it just works so well. So if you're looking at all this and thinking, oh, I couldn't possibly do any of that, I couldn't live with this, I couldn't live with that, just go and test drive one. There's no pressure in a Tesla place. They don't have salespeople as such. So just go and take one out for a test drive, see if you like it or not. Simple. The first thing you notice when you get into this new Model 3 is how much quieter it is than the outgoing model. You do have sort of double glazing throughout, and despite the fact that there's no internal combustion engine banging and rattling and firing, the previous Model 3 was quite noisy, and that's because the cabin didn't seem especially well insulated from particularly sort of wind and tyre noise. Things are much better this time around, and it's really quite quiet. One of the quieter EVs on the road, I would say. One of the other areas where this new Model 3's had a big upgrade, I would say, is with the suspension. The ride comfort has improved massively, but the car still feels very nimble. Certainly getting into this car after my Model Y, it makes the Model Y feel like a barge. This feels so much lighter. It feels so much more nimble. It's got quite a decent turning circle as well. It really is a lovely thing to take around some slightly windy stuff. The steering feels really good too. You can adjust how firm it is, but in any mode you have a really good understanding of which way the wheels are facing, and it sounds weird for real fly-by-wire steering, but you almost get feedback from it, and it just makes this thing a joy to drive. It really does. And it's a joy to drive whether you are driving in a fairly efficient manner, an enthusiastic manner, or just cruising along. I really like the way this car performs on the road, and a big part of that is obviously the 0 to 62 time. Tesla are famously sprightly cars, and this new Model 3 is no different. This one is the all-wheel drive long range version, and it gives you a 0 to 62 time of 4.2, which is astounding. Even the rear-wheel drive car is not a slouch. You know, you're still looking sub 6 seconds 0 to 62, which is very impressive. And of course that car also still gives you 318 miles of range. And that's where the big question comes in, is do you bother with the long range when it's £50,000? And yes, it does have an epic range and a real good real-world range, largely thanks to the fact that it's so efficient. And that's something you can say about all Teslas, is that they are massively efficient. So they get these big range numbers with batteries that are often smaller than major competitors that are getting nowhere near them in terms of the range. And hats off to Tesla for that. So that rear-wheel drive version's got 318 miles of range, you know, real world in the summer. Maybe you're going to get 280 from that. That's enough for most people, I would say, particularly when the car can charge from 10% to 80% in under half an hour at a supercharger. You know, it is capable of 250 kilowatt charging. And in reality, going for a wee at a service station and returning to your car, you might have stuck 80 miles into it just from having a wee. You do have to plug the car in as well though. And of course it gives you access to the Tesla supercharging network everywhere. Not only is the Tesla network one of the most reliable on the planet, it's also one of the cheaper ones in this country. I charged recently at a 250 kilowatt charger in our Model Y, and it charged me 35p a kilowatt compared to the 𝑘𝙗𝙉𝙆𝙎 one opposite, which was about 90. So you might be watching this review and thinking, oh, it's another Tesla fanboy. And yes, I own a Tesla, I own a Model Y. Is it my favourite car in the world? No, it's not. It just ticks a load of boxes for me and my family, and it ticked more of those boxes than anything else available within budget at the time. But I'm objective. If you've watched reviews on my channel before, you know that I'll always try and be objective and honest with everything I put out, because people won't watch if I'm not, is sort of the way I think. I can tell you honestly that this is the best all-round electric car that I've driven. Full stop. It's just fantastic. It's a lovely thing to drive. I find excuses to get in and drive this car. And I mean, I drive probably 100 different cars every year as a minimum. And I'm finding excuses to go out and drive this thing just because it makes me smile so much. It's just a joy to live with. It's so easy to live with. If you're transitioning into EV for the first time from a petrol or diesel car, I can't think of an easier way to do it than with one of these. Yes, you're going to have to look just there for your speed instead of there, and you're going to have to plug it in instead of sticking petrol in it. Aside from that, you're going to be wowed by a lot of the things that you thought might be an inconvenience, and that's just the way it is. In a couple of weeks, I'll be putting one of the car's new kids on the block rivals to the test, which is the BYD Seal. I've done an initial sort of first drive video of that, but I'm going to be doing a full comprehensive review of the Seal, And after that, I'll probably do a direct comparison between several features of this Model Y and that BYD seal. And if you are considering this kind of car, the other one you should definitely look at would be the Polestar 2. That's got over 400 miles of range claimed, although I'm not sure how efficient it is compared to the Tesla Model 3. And of course, something like the BMW i4 is also worth a look. But when you talk about value for money and an all-round package, I can't think of anything that's beating this Tesla Model 3 right now. If you're thinking about getting one of these, I'm going to pop my Tesla referral code in the video description and pin it as the top comment. If you sign up with that, the offers change all the time, but generally you get something for free and I get some free charging miles. I'm also going to put a link to 𝙇𝙄𝙁𝙁𝙄 in there, so if you're looking at leasing a Tesla Model 3, click that link and it will take you to all the best deals available at the time you click on the Tesla Model 3. It does help support the channel, it does help me to make these videos. 𝙇𝙄𝙁𝙁𝙁 are a phenomenal partner, and please, if you are looking at possibly getting yourself into one of these, don't do so before clicking that link and taking a look. Thank you ever so much for watching this video, folks. Please give it a thumbs up, please like and subscribe, and please come back for more. I'll see you on the next one.